So I'm going to go over some GIFs today. I've been using GIFs to export some stuff from Clip Studio Paint and Gimp, and I've been making them just to show process stuff, layers, lighting, grading, things like that. The first chapter of encoding Bushido is really easy to do this because I started in Gimp. Show a page here. This is page one from chapter one. And since I started and finished pages in Gimp, and you can export GIMPs natively directly, your layers as animations, it makes it pretty simple. So just let me show you that dialog. Export as, I already exported once. Actually, I'm going to resize this. Uh, Here we are at 800 pixels in Gimp. It's easy enough to export this, as I was trying to show you before. I actually went through this once already. Sometimes there are warnings like this one, but it's just to crop layers that are outside GIFs. Don't save that extra layer information past the cropping of the image, so you're going to lose that. And this is usually unchecked by default, but I can just check that. I had already exported this at one point. This is usually defaulted to 1,000. That's a little slow. It feels like a second, like a full beat. But it feels like a second at default. But I like the 200 because it gives you a. Hear my finger snapping there. It kind of keeps your attention. And this is an interesting little dialogue here for handling your layers, whether they're combined or one layer at a time. But I thought it was interesting that the GIMP developers chose "I don't care" as the default. So you have some other choices here for delaying your frames and for the disposal of all frames if you're clearing the screen, I guess. I never use those because I want the entirety of the canvas to remain visible, as this is a process video. So I'm going to go ahead and export that. And what that looks like, let me bring up a web page here. What that looks like in practice uh, is like you'd expect, a simple animation of an animated page. So you can see a bunch of the layers I had here. I've been using photography in encoding Bushido, my own photography, instead of stock photography, since I'm just using them for background lights, textures, and that top image is actually the valley where I live. So there's a little cheating going on there, but it's for good effect. And these ovals, which appear partway through the animation, see if I can identify them right up here. Those are actually the radial gradients, which I've applied. You can see that they end up just sort of accenting the foreground and background lighting and atmosphere. So this is a good process for GIMP, but since I switched to Clip Studio Paint, there's a little bit more work. These are actually pretty complicated layers, so this was going to animate into something pretty large. But I believe, can't actually export an animated GIF unless you're exporting an animation, and this is, you know, you're locked out of it for various reasons. So I'd like to keep this in GIMP because, frankly, it's just a simple free program. I have actually paid for Clip Studio, but not having that as a default it's not a deal breaker. But yeah, Clip Studio has been so valuable in my process that it's easy enough to keep this around. But what I can do is save this as, and I've already done this before, can save this as a Photoshop document, which I've done in at least one instance before with this page just as a test. So that's the workaround that I've been using for Clip Studio. So this is the Photoshop document. In order to export these as an animated GIF, the exporter for GIMP at this level will export only these layers. So yeah, it's a pain, but you have to extract one by one all of your layers. Now this is a pain in the butt for people who are layer fiends, but this will work after this is done. GIMP won't export layer folders, so you'll have to do that for every layer. People like their GIFs. They see a GIF and they click on it. I can't get around people's behavior like that. And they've been, kind of useful. I export one GIF, I hit multiple platforms. But like I said earlier, that Instagram issue, yeah, That still bothers me. For now, like, subscribe. I'll be going over a lot of these other topics and stuff in future videos. Thanks, everybody.